The National Basketball Association has seen some incredible individual performances over the years. Dwight Howard's 32-point, 30-rebound game against the Nets. Shaquille O'Neal's 24-point, 28-rebound, 15-block performance against the Nets. Kobe Bryant's 81-point game against not the Nets this time, but the Raptors. But none of those games are like what we just witnessed. Nikola Jokic has just completed the first ever 30-20-20 game in NBA history that we know of. Jokic finished the game with 31 points, 21 rebounds, and a career-high 22 assists in an overtime win over the Phoenix Suns on Friday night. But like every video on this channel, I wanted to go deeper to see just how likely having a game like this really is. At first, I wanted to test the rarity of a 30-point game for a superstar. But after going through every box score of every game played today and yesterday, and for the entire season, a little while in, I realized this wouldn't help me get to the bottom of anything, and would eat up a lot of time. Why compare someone like Alex Caruso to someone as talented and skilled as Nikola Jokic? If we're going to run a test, let's run a test of Jokic versus himself to see how rare this type of box score really is. In the 2024-2025 NBA season, Jokic has scored 30 or more points in 23 games, while playing in 58 games so far. The likelihood that the Joker would score 30 or more points in a single game is pretty high. But that's just for this season, and is still probably not a big enough sample size. Let's take a look back to his entire career to get a broader view of how special this game really was. Jokic has scored 30 or more points in 147 games in his NBA career, after playing in 733 career games. While his earliest seasons were played on limited minutes and less opportunity, we can still figure out that Jokic, in his career, has scored 30 or more points in a single game in 20% of his career games. That's really incredible. If you're betting the Joker's 30-point game line, it should hit every 5th game or so. Maybe even more often now that he's developed into a perennial MVP candidate. While the 30-point game in the NBA is always an incredible accomplishment, we can't forget about the two other parts to his crazy 30-20-20 box score from last Friday night. Let's take a look at rebounds. The Joker is an elite board getter, averaging 13.8 rebounds in 2021-2022, 11.8 rebounds the following year, 12.4 the year after that, and 12.9 rebounds this season. The versatile big man can score and grab rebounds at a Hall of Fame level. But this game wasn't just another 13-rebound game. Nikola Jokic grabbed 21 rebounds. While this is still 6 rebounds off of his personal best of 27 rebounds in a single game, 21 is still an insane number. In fact, Jokic has only reached 20 or more rebounds in a single game 20 times in his entire career. Out of the 733 games played, this gives him a likelihood of grabbing 20 or more rebounds in a single game of only 2.72%. If you're betting the Joker 20-plus rebound game, it would only hit 2 to 3 times per year roughly on average. If you're betting the Joker 30-point game and 20-plus rebound game, that has only happened 8 times in his 733 game career, leaving us with only a 1% chance of that hitting. If you take that 1% chance of hitting the 30-plus point, 20-plus rebound game and multiply it by the season-long 82 games, the chances of it happening during the season are only likely for one singular game. Now let's add the third part of his box score, 22 assists. This was a career high. Having 30 points in a single game is an awesome accomplishment, although kind of a common one for superstars like SGA and Steph Curry. But now let's throw in the fact that the Joker himself finished Friday night's game with 22 assists. This means that not only was he incredibly efficient, shooting 59% from the field and 43% from 3, but his teammates were efficient as well, scoring at a high rate directly from his passes. Jokic has always been an unbelievably good passer. He will probably go down as the best passing big man ever to play the game. But surprisingly, before Friday night, had never had 20 or more assists in a single game. This means that out of the 733 career games that he's played, he's hit this specific accomplishment only once, for a rate of 0.14%. Not only was he knocking down shots at a high efficiency, but his teammates were as well, which is a very hard thing to do to get in unison for the same game. Pair this with the fact that he grabbed 20 boards, and let's put the likelihoods all together to see how insane this game actually was. As of today, March 10th, 2025, there have been approximately 12,172,164 NBA games played, and no player has ever achieved the 30-20-20 NBA game. We can't find the likelihood of this stat line happening because it's never happened before. If you take 0 and divide it by 12,172,164, the answer is still 0. Until now. The Joker has achieved what no player was ever capable of doing. But it takes a very specific type of player to achieve this goal anyway. Here are the rules for what player can even come close to achieving this stat line. It must be a big, or a player that plays big, a la Russell Westbrook. Whether they are 6'4" or 7'2", you have to pull down 20 boards. This is almost impossible unless you are the primary, or at the very least, the secondary rebound on your team. You can't be Trae Young and expect to ever cross the 20 rebound mark. No offense, Trae, but it just isn't happening for you unless every other player on the court laid down every time the ball was shot up. The player must be an amazing passer, like Hall of Fame level passer. Magic Johnson, Chris Paul, John Stockton. Joker fits this bill. He has the length, size, and power to whip the ball all over the court and get it to where it needs to go. The player has to be a special offensive talent. There is no doubt that scoring 30 points in a game is the easiest of these stat lines, as you can only put up 15 shots and still score 30. While grabbing 20 rebounds means you have to grab 20 missed shots. And getting 20 assists means you have to make 20 perfect passes that lead directly to points scored. Great players score 30 or more all the time. So while this achievement isn't as impressive as the other two, we can't overlook it. The Joker shoots with efficiency and accuracy, and this game was no different from the rest. Finally, let's see just how likely a game like this actually was for the Joker using all of the probabilities we found earlier and multiplying them together to find the rarity value. 0.20% chance at a 30 or more point game, 0.0272% chance at a 20 or more rebound game, 0.0014% chance at a 20 or more assist game. 0.000076 times 100 equals 0.00076. 3 zeros in front of the 7, meaning 7 parts per million as a percentage. I'm not a scientist, so I really have no idea what I just said, but let's just say it's as likely as me cracking the Charlotte Hornets starting lineup next year with my terrible shooting skills at only 6'2". But really though, this game was like no other. It took overtime for the Joker to even achieve the stat line, so the odds that we will see this happen again is extremely, exceedingly, intensely, strikingly, drastically low. We can all appreciate great games, and this one is no exception. The Joker has done what no other player that we know of has been able to do. And while Nikola Jokic might not go down as the greatest ever by the time he retires, his game on March 7th, 2025 just may.